Welcome to AudioCert, where the official study guides are brought to life.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a really crucial journey into the world of digital investigations. We're specifically looking at the EC Council's Computer Hacking Forensic Investigator, or CHFI certification. You'll often hear it pronounced CHFI. Now, this isn't just about, passing an exam. It's really about understanding a field that's rapidly evolving and, frankly, absolutely critical today. Think of this as your shortcut to truly being well-informed about the digital battles being fought every single day and the dedicated professionals right there on the front lines.
That sounds incredibly relevant, especially now. With how fast technology changes. How does a certification like CHFI stay the benchmark? And what exactly does a computer hacking forensic investigator do? Why is this cert so important for someone maybe looking to get into this field or even just understand it better? That's a really key question. And it gets right to the heart of why continuous learning is so vital in this whole domain. The CHFI certification, it validates an individual's expertise across the full life cycle of digital evidence. So that's identifying it, preserving it meticulously, analyzing it very carefully, and then crucially presenting it in a legally sound manner. It's really about being the ultimate digital detective.
Okay, the digital detective. I like that.
Yeah. And for this deep dive, we're starting right at the beginning. Chapter 1, Computer Forensics in Today's World. This chapter isn't just theory, okay? It lays the foundational understanding of why computer forensics is indispensable right now. It covers the unique challenges investigators face and what it truly takes to build a robust forensic capabilities, a vital first step in seeing the bigger picture, Understanding our digital vulnerabilities and how we fight back. We've got a stack of great source material to unpack today, so let's just dive right in.
Okay, sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we zoom right into the digital stuff, it's pretty fascinating to note that forensics itself isn't new. Not at all. It's not something born from silicon and code. It's been intertwined with our whole quest for justice since, well, as our sources put it, the dawn of justice. For centuries, humans have sought systematic, scientific ways to uncover truth and bring justice, long before anyone even dreamed of a computer crime.
So this has deep roots then.
Deep roots. Consider some of the early milestones that really built the foundation for confidence in evidence. Imagine the aha moment for Francis Galton, way back between 1822 and 1911. He did the first recorded study of fingerprints. Suddenly, a unique mark left behind wasn't just, a smudge. It could uniquely identify someone. That changed everything.
Wow, yeah, I can imagine. From just a mark to actual identification.
Exactly. Then came Leone Lattes from 1887 to 1954. He discovered the different blood groupings, A, B, and O. Before Lattes, blood at a crime scene. Well, it offered limited information. But after his discovery, blood could tell a story. It could link or exclude suspects with unprecedented specificity.
So adding layers of scientific proof.
Precisely. Moving into the 20th century, you have Calvin Goddard from 1891 to 1955. He revolutionized firearms and bullet comparison. His work allowed matching a bullet definitively to the specific weapon that fired it. Solved countless court cases.
Ballistics, right, still a huge field.
Huge. And Albert Osborne, from 1858 to 1946, he developed the essential features of document examination, authenticating signatures, analyzing handwriting, detecting forgeries, critical stuff. But really, the pioneer who truly formalized the scientific study within criminal investigations was Hans Gross, back between 1847 and 1915. He integrated various scientific disciplines into criminalistics, basically laid the groundwork for modern forensic science as we know it.
So we brought it all together, kind of formalized it.
Exactly. And these individual breakthroughs, they weren't just isolated events. They led to the institutionalization of forensic science. Look at the FBI. They set up their first lab in 1932. That provided crucial forensic services nationwide to all their field agents and other law enforcement authorities. That was a significant step in standardizing and widely applying these scientific methods. When you look back at these historic forensic moments, you really see a pattern. Each advancement built confidence. Confidence in the forensic information recovered and analyzed. It wasn't about, perfect certainty from day one. It was a continuous, incremental strengthening of evidential value.
So forensics isn't just a modern concept, but these historical examples really highlight how each scientific step built that confidence in evidence. It sounds like computer forensics is just, well, a natural evolution of that, applying the same core principles to a new digital type of evidence.
You're absolutely right on the money. Our sources explicitly state that today's computer forensics is clearly a new pattern of confidence, acceptance, and analysis. It builds directly on those same principles, rigorous investigation, evidence validation, but applies them to the digital realm. And that introduces its own unique, pretty complex challenges, which we'll definitely get into. But yeah, it's a continuation of that age-old quest for truth, just using new tools in an entirely new, often invisible landscape.
Okay, that makes sense. The principles carry over, but the where and how are totally different.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for computer forensics today? Our lives are just so deeply intertwined with cyber activity. It's no longer a question of if a company will be compromised, but really when. The EC Council even states that a staggering 85% of businesses and government agencies have detected a security breach.
85%. Wow, that's almost everyone.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's not just a statistic. It really underscores the ubiquity of these threats and why being prepared to investigate them is, well, non-negotiable. Given this reality, what exactly is computer forensics? Our source defines it as the preservation, identification, extraction, interpretation, and documentation of computer evidence. Another definition, this one from Cybercrime Investigations, refers to digital forensics as the scientific acquisition, analysis, and preservation of data contained in electronic media whose information can be used as evidence in a court of law.
Okay, so the keywords there sound like scientific and evidence in a court of law, rigor and legal defensibility.
Exactly. That's the core. The computer forensic investigator's ultimate goal is to determine the nature and events concerning a crime and to locate the perpetrator by following a structured investigative procedure. It's about uncovering the truth in the digital realm, like a traditional detective, but instead of physical footprints, they're tracing digital ones.
Following the breadcrumbs, just digital breadcrumbs.
Precisely. And here's where it fits into the broader security picture. Computer forensics isn't alone. It's actually one of three main functions of computer security. Our sources outline what's called the computer security triad. This triad consists of three parts. One, vulnerability assessment and risk management. This is the proactive side, finding weaknesses, planning to mitigate them before something happens. Two, network intrusion detection. This is about real-time vigilance watching networks for suspicious activity, identifying when a breach is happening or just happened. And three, incident response computer investigations. And this is where forensics truly lives.
Ah, okay, so it's part of the response phase when something's gone wrong.
Exactly. Once an incident is detected, this function focuses on responding to it. And that includes the entire forensic process we're talking about. So forensics is a crucial pillar, not just some isolated discipline, but an integral part of a comprehensive security strategy. Now, for any evidence, digital or physical, to actually hold up in court, it has to pass two absolutely foundational tests, two critical hurdles. First, authenticity. This asks, where did the evidence come from? Its origin has to be clear, traceable, undeniable. Was it really sourced from where they say it was? Is there an unbroken chain of custody? That kind of thing.
Okay, proving it's the real deal from the right place.
Right. Second, reliability. This probes is the evidence dependable and free of flaws. This is critical for preventing something called spoliation, which is basically the destruction or alteration of evidence. If the data can easily be shown to have been tampered with or maybe misinterpreted, its reliability is immediately shot, making it inadmissible in court.
So it's about meticulous collection and analysis, almost like digital archaeology, reconstructing events and making sure it all stands up to legal scrutiny. That emphasis on authenticity and reliability makes perfect sense, especially given how easily digital data can be altered or, messed up. It sounds like a forensic investigator has to be a really highly trusted gatekeeper of information, making sure every single step is beyond reproach.
That's a fantastic observation, and it really highlights the immense responsibility involved. Now, here's where it gets, well, really concerning. Our increasing dependency on computers. It's opened a Pandora's box of new criminal opportunities. The very technology that connects us makes our lives easier. It also provides new, often invisible ways for illegal activities, and that poses significant, unique challenges for investigators.
Yeah, the double-edged sword of technology.
Definitely. Let's talk about why these digital investigations are so challenging. First, there's just the sheer proliferation of technology. Keys, internet access. They make information exchange quick and cheap for everyone, and that includes criminals. They can communicate, share tools, plan attacks with unprecedented speed and efficiency, often across global borders.
Faster communication for everyone, good guys and bad guys.
Right. Second, the ease of hacking has dramatically lowered the barrier to entry. You've got readily available hacking tools, sometimes with user-friendly interfaces, combined with all these underground groups sharing info. It means even people with kind of limited technical skills can launch pretty sophisticated attacks.
Script kiddies, right, using pre-made tools.
Exactly. Script kiddies are a big part of that. Third, the internet offers a powerful cloak of anonymity.
Yeah.
It lets criminals hide their identity while committing crimes, making it incredibly difficult to trace them back to a real person or place.
The anonymity factor is huge.
Huge. Fourth, common occurrences like email spoofing, creating fake profiles, identity theft. They're rampant and hard to stop. It creates this constant background noise of low-level cybercrime that's just really challenging to untangle. And finally, maybe one of the biggest hurdles, the lack of physical evidence. Unlike traditional crimes, cybercrimes often lack eyewitnesses, fingerprints, DNA. There's often no blood, no forced entry, no traditional crime scene to process. That makes prosecution much, much harder.
Right, no smoking gun, literally, just data trails.
Data trails. And our sources also define specific types of cybercrime that investigators frequently run into, like theft of intellectual property. This isn't just stealing a document. It's unauthorized access to patents, trade secrets, customer lists, sales trends, any confidential info that gives a company its edge. This can absolutely cripple a business.
So corporate espionage type stuff.
Big time. Then there's damage of company service networks. This could be planting Trojan's malware disguised as legit software, or launching denial of service, DOS attacks to flood systems and make them crash or become unavailable, installing unauthorized modems to sneak past security, creating backdoors for persistent hidden access. Lots of ways to cause damage.
Disrupting operations.
Exactly. Financial fraud is another big one. Any fraudulent solicitations or transactions using digital, phishing scams, fake investment schemes, you name it. Hacker system penetrations involve using tools like sniffers to capture network traffic, maybe passwords, or rootkits to gain deep, hidden control over systems, exploiting known or even unknown software vulnerabilities. And of course, the distribution of viruses and worms. Still some of the most common and damaging forms, causing widespread disruption and data loss.
It really is like the internet scaled up not just our global communication, but global crime, too. And that idea that there's often no physical evidence, no eyewitnesses, that really highlights why these specialized digital investigators are so essential. And it sounds like the motivations behind these attacks can be quite diverse.
No, absolutely. Understanding the why can sometimes provide crucial clues in an investigation. Our sources identify a few key drivers. Sometimes it's simply the thrill of the chase, or a desire for learning, especially for those script kiddies we mentioned. Then there are psychological motivations. Criminals feeling the need to leave a mark, demonstrate their power or skill.
Like digital graffiti artists, almost.
Kinda, yeah. Revenge is another powerful driver. You often see this with disgruntled employees or maybe former friends seeking to embarrass or damage their targets. But perhaps the most difficult to uncover, and often the most financially damaging, is crime motivated by sheer financial gain or corporate espionage. These are typically highly organized attacks, sometimes even state-sponsored. The goal is stealing valuable info for profit or competitive advantage, and they often leave the fewest traces. Very hard to track.
The high-stakes professional jobs.
Right. The EC Council also defines computer crime as any illegal act involving a computer, its system, or its applications. And they emphasize a crucial point. It must be intentional, not accidental. This distinction is really paramount for legal issues. Accidental system damage, while bad, wouldn't typically fall under this definition of computer crime. It needs intent.
Intent matters. Got it.
Now, it's important to acknowledge that computer forensics, despite its critical role, is still relatively young compared to, say, fingerprint analysis or ballistics. Our source calls it in its developmental stage, which means it's continuously evolving, and that brings certain challenges with it.
Still figuring things out, in a way.
In some ways, yes. One key flaw or risk from this developmental stage is there's less established theoretical knowledge to base assumptions on, compared to older sciences. The foundational principles are still being established and refined. Then there's a lack of standardization. This can mean insufficient training standards or lack of consistency in the tools used, or variability in how hypotheses are tested across different labs or investigators.
So different people might do things slightly differently.
Potentially, yeah. And finally, it's often described as more art than science. Now, that doesn't mean it's not rigorous. It absolutely is. But it often requires intuition, creative problem solving, and a nuanced understanding of human behavior from the investigator, not just rigid step-by-step procedures. Digital environments are messy, criminals are creative, so investigators need to be equally adaptable and, well, creative.
That's a fascinating point, that it's more art than science right now. It means investigators need that unique blend of technical skill and creative problem solving, not just following a checklist. And I imagine that lack of universal standardization, does that make it harder to defend findings in court if the methods aren't like universally accepted?
That's absolutely correct. That lack of universal standardization can definitely make forensic findings more susceptible to challenges in court. It requires the investigator to be even more meticulous in documenting their individual methodologies and justifying their choices. Very thorough documentation is key. Which brings us to an important question. Who are these attackers? We talked about motivations, but where do they come from? Cybercrimes can generally be categorized into two primary modes of attack.
Okay, insiders and outsiders.
You got it. First, we have insider attacks. These, like the name suggests, involve a breach of trust from employees within an organization. Could be a disgruntled employee, someone trying to steal data for personal gain, or even someone unintentionally causing harm because maybe they fell for a phishing scam. These can be particularly insidious because insiders often have legitimate access and knowledge of internal systems. Makes them harder to detect using traditional perimeter defenses.
Right, they already have the keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
Exactly. Then there are external attacks. These come from outside the organization, often from hackers hired by either an insider or an external entity whose aim is to destroy a competitor's reputation. This category includes corporate espionage, nation-state attacks, or financially motivated cybercriminals operating from afar. The methods for detecting and attributing external attacks can be very different from those used for internal threats. Requires different forensic approaches.
Makes sense. Different threats need different defenses and different investigation techniques.
Precisely. So to combat these varied attacks, investigators follow a highly structured approach. It's a methodical process designed to ensure evidence integrity and maximize the chances of a successful outcome, like a prosecution.
Okay, so what does that process look like?
Generally, the stages of forensic investigation include these steps. 1. Identify. Pinpointing the crime, the specific computer systems involved, and the tools that were used. 2. Gather evidence. Meticulous collection, always with an eye toward building a robust chain of custody. We'll talk more about that. 3. Recover data. This involves imaging, duplicating, and replicating that evidence to preserve the original untouched. 4. Analyze. A deep dive into the duplicated evidence to find patterns, reconstruct events, draw conclusions. And 5. Present. Acting as an expert witness, presenting those findings in court in a clear, objective, and defensible manner.
Identify, gather, recover, analyze, present. Okay?
Our sources actually give us a specific example of what happens after a server is compromised. It lays out a 7-step process that really brings this general framework to life. Step 1. Company personnel typically call the corporate lawyer first. Get immediate legal advice. Set the stage for a legally sound investigation. Step 2. The forensic investigator, the FI, prepares a first responsive procedures, FRP. This is a critical initial plan to secure the scene, prevent further damage or alteration. Step 3. The FI then seizes the evidence at the scene and transports it securely to the forensic lab. This demands extreme care, maintaining that chain of custody.
So securing the scene and the evidence legally and physically.
Right. Step 4. Crucially, the FI prepares bitstream images of the files and creates an MD5 hash of them. These are core steps for evidence integrity. We need to define those properly. Step 5. The FI then examines the duplicated evidence for proof of the crime and prepares a comprehensive investigative report. Step 6. This sensitive report is handed to the client. They review it, decide if they want to press charges or take other legal action. And Step 7. Finally, after the case is concluded, legal requirements met, the FI destroys any sensitive client data. Protect privacy, prevent future compromise. Got to clean up properly.
That 7-step process really clarifies the workflow. But okay, you mentioned them twice now, bitstream image and MD5 hash. What exactly are those? They sound critical for preserving that evidence integrity. What's the strategic advantage of using them?
Yes. You've hit on two absolutely fundamental concepts in digital forensics. Understanding their strategic importance is key. A bitstream image is an exact duplicate of a computer's hard drive in which the drive is copied from one drive to another bit by bit. Think of it like taking a perfect clone, sector by sector, bit by bit. Every single piece of data, including deleted files, slack space, unallocated clusters, it all gets copied.
Okay, so an identical twin of the original drive.
Exactly. The strategic advantage here is huge. The original evidence remains untouched. The investigation is conducted on this perfect replica. This eliminates any arguments later about the original data being spoiled or altered during the investigation.
Right. Preserves the original pristine state. Got it. And the MD5 hash.
Right. An MD5 hash that stands for Message Digest Algorithm 5 is produced by a mathematical algorithm to ensure that no changes have occurred. It's like a unique digital fingerprint for the data.
Yeah.
If you change even a single bit in that bitstream image, the MD5 hash will be completely different.
Wow. Okay, so it's like a tamper seal.
That's a great way to put it, a digital tamper seal. The strategic advantage is immediate, verifiable authentication. It flags any potential tampering or accidental alteration. It provides a cryptographically verifiable method for authenticating the duplicate against the original. This method, using both bitstream imaging and hashing like MD5, has become the de facto standard. It's widely accepted by the industry and the legal system because it provides mathematical proof of integrity.
Proof it hasn't been messed with. Makes total sense.
So, to ensure these cases are valuable and defensible in court, forensic investigators must always stick to a few key rules. Cardinal rules, really. First, examine duplicate evidence, not the original, as much as humanly possible. Preserve that original integrity above all else. Second, follow all evidence rules meticulously. Never tamper. Any deviation can just compromise the entire case. Third, always prepare and maintain a detailed chain of custody. Handle evidence with utmost care. That documentation is your proof of proper legal handling.
The paper trail is critical.
Absolutely critical. Fourth, never exceed your knowledge base. If a task is beyond your expertise, get help. Refer the case. Don't guess. And finally, document any changes meticulously. No matter how minor they seem, transparency is absolutely key. Staying within these parameters makes your findings valuable and, importantly, legally defensible.
Right. Follow the rules, document everything, don't touch the original. It sounds simple, but I bet it's complex in practice.
It can be very complex.
What?
And the legal landscape surrounding digital forensics, it's just as complex as the technology itself. Constantly evolving, posing significant challenges.
Yeah, I can imagine the law struggles to keep up with tech.
It really does. Let's start with a formal definition. Digital forensics involves preserving, collecting, confirming, identifying, analyzing, recording, and presenting crime scene information. Unquote. That's a broad definition, covers the whole scope, from the initial incident right through to court presentation. When assessing the case, the first step is diligent questioning and documentation. Helps identify the crime, locate the evidence accurately. And it's important to note, investigations usually happen on two types of computers, those used to commit a crime and those that were the target of a crime. Understanding that distinction shapes the approach. Okay, source versus victim machine, basically. Basically, yeah. Now, preservation of evidence and the chain of custody, this is paramount. Cannot stress this enough. Our source defines a chain of custody as the accurate documentation of the movement and possession of a piece of evidence from the time it is taken into custody until it is delivered to the court, unquote. This doc helps prevent tampering allegations, proves legal storage, documents who had control during testing. Without a solid chain of custody, even perfect evidence can get thrown out.
So the chain is the proof of integrity over time and handling.
Exactly. When it comes to collection, data recovery, evidence collection, there's a recommended sequence from CHFI. Find evidence, discover relevant data, prepare an order of volatility we need to talk about that eradicate alteration avenues, gather evidence, prepare the chain of custody. Critically, after you collect data, immediately create that MD5 hash. Lock in the integrity. Preliminary assessment happens before collection, but then you collect and seize the equipment. Could be old floppy disks, thumb drives, CDs, DVDs, external drives, you name it. Also crucial. Photograph the crime scene before you remove anything. Visual context.
Documenting the scene as found.
Right. And a caution here. Don't over-collect. Identify the relevant data, copy only that. Otherwise, you run into overhead issues, maybe even legal challenges about privacy or scope. The overall process should include sterilizing any media you'll use for examination, entering the scene carefully, snapshotting it, scanning data sources, documenting item state integrity, and then transporting everything securely to the lab.
Sounds like a very deliberate step-by-step process.
Extremely deliberate. The examination process follows collection. This involves tracing, filtering, extracting hidden data. Now, about that order of volatility, some evidence just doesn't stick around. It's called volatile evidence. It needs constant power, changes frequently. Think registers, cache, routing tables, the ARP, Address Resolution Protocol, cache, process tables, kernel statistics. This stuff is fleeting.
Data in RAM, basically. Stuff that disappears when you turn it off.
A lot of it is, yes. Volatile data must be preserved in order of volatility. Most volatile stuff first. Why? Because if you say access the hard drive first, That very act could wipe crucial ephemeral data from RAM data that might be the only trace of the attacker. It's a race against time and system processes.
Okay, so grab the most fragile stuff before it vanishes. What's the typical order?
A typical order of recovery might look like this. First, virtual memory stuff like swap space or paging files. Then, physical disks, the actual hard drives. And finally, backups offline media, like tapes. This is where old backups can be absolute gold. The data you need might not be on the live system anymore, but it might be on last night's backup tape. And remember, throughout all this, minimal tampering. Preserve that original evidence.
Gotcha. Volatility first. And analysis.
Yeah.
That's different from collection rate.
Very different. Analysis should always be done on the duplicate copy. Protect the original. That's rule number one. You use various forensic analysis tools here, things like InCase, Access Data's FTK, lots of specialized software. When approaching the crime scene, because digital evidence is so delicate, you really need trained forensic investigators, FIs. A properly trained FI ensures preservation, no damage. Non-contamination, no introducing malware. Proper handling, prevent physical damage. Maintain chain of custody, accountability, and limited interference with normal operations. Minimize disruption.
So the investigator's job goes way beyond just finding data. It's about rigorously proving that the data is exactly as it was found, from discovery to court. That's a huge responsibility. It seems like an investigator needs to be not just a tech wizard, but also kind of like a legal scholar and maybe even understand psychology to navigate all this. That's a demanding role.
It truly is.
Yeah.
And the stakes are incredibly high, not just technically, but legally. The Hewlett-Packard Board of Directors case serves as a really stark warning. You might think, okay, I have corporate counsel, I'm covered, right? But in that situation, experienced investigators inside HP and their subcontractors asked legal counsel about a specific investigative technique. Legal counsel determined it fell within a gray area, wasn't explicitly illegal, so the investigators used it, and they were later arrested.
Wow, even with legal sign-off.
Even with legal sign-off. What's chilling is that the legal counsel apparently didn't fully grasp the nuances of the laws relating to those specific methodologies and tech issues in the digital realm. The lesson for you as an investigator is profound. Quote, not to assume that an action you've taken is legal just because corporate counsel told you it was. You must understand the law yourself, especially in the corporate world. In the HP case, several investigators got arrested, including legal counsel. It underscores that profound personal responsibility you carry.
Yikes. Okay, so know the tech and the law personally. Don't just rely on others.
Exactly. So when and where do you use computer forensics? It's essential when real evidence, like barcodes or magnetic tapes, are needed to identify electronic transactions or reconstruct a sequence of events. Also crucial for breach of contract cases or copyright and intellectual property theft misuse. Huge areas. And importantly, during employee disputes where there's damage to company resources, digital forensics can pinpoint who did what, when.
So legal disputes, IP theft, internal issues, wide range of applications.
Wide range. Beyond the technical stuff, there are significant legal concerns. For example, some monitoring activity might be legally required for security compliance. Or your ability to monitor might be restricted by privacy laws. Also, if you want to prosecute, your logs might not be admissible in court unless they meet specific legal standards. Local and federal laws always need to be considered.
The legal framework is always hovering there.
Always. And what's fascinating here is how international issues complicate cybercrime. These crimes often cross borders. Evidence needed might be located outside your country. This requires law enforcement to seek assistance from authorities elsewhere. That can be slow, complex. Requests can be made under mutual legal assistance agreements, or if that doesn't work, through letters rogatory, a formal request for judicial help. Makes investigations globally complex, requires a diplomatic touch alongside the tech skills.
Wow, international law meets cybercrime. That sounds like a headache.
It can be. And finally, remember, computer law is a new field. Statutes are recent, often less than 10 years old. There's not a lot of case law for guidance. Interpretations can change, laws themselves can change quickly as legislators react to new threats. It means constant learning, constant vigilance for any forensic professional.
So the ground is always shifting under your feet, legally speaking.
Pretty much, yeah. Given all these complexities we've just discussed, setting up a proper computer forensic laboratory, well, it's a massive undertaking. Our sources emphasize this topic alone could fill a whole series of books. It's far more than just buying some computers and software.
Right, it's not just a room with computers.
Not at all. The importance of these labs is rapidly rising. The demand for expert forensic examiners and dedicated facilities is fueled by our ever-increasing reliance on digital tech for everything: communication, productivity, knowledge management, for good stuff and bad stuff. As more of our lives move online, the digital realm becomes an increasingly important battleground for justice. A significant driver for this was the impact of changes to the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, FRCP, back in December 2006. These changes formalized the role of electronically stored information, ESI, in civil litigation. They created new standards for handling and presenting it in court. This means digital data is officially recognized as its own distinct class of evidence. There are explicit rules for its discovery and use, making forensic labs truly indispensable to the legal system now.
Okay, so the law officially recognized digital stuff as unique evidence, boosting the need for proper labs. Makes sense. It's clear labs are crucial, but what defines a truly effective forensic lab, beyond just having fancy equipment? What are the core philosophies that guide its operation?
That's a fantastic question. It gets right to the heart of what makes a forensic lab successful, not just functional. A forensic lab, regardless of its size or purpose, isn't just a technical space. Our sources stress it's fundamentally a business venture that needs strategic planning.
A business venture, even if it's like a police lab.
Even then, yes, it operates in what our sources define as 4 core modes of operation or philosophies. 1. Business venue. Every lab, sole investigator, police lab, corporate department, federal facility, they all must operate with sound business management. That means demonstrating value, return on investment, ROI, staying competitive. A police lab might not seek profit, but it absolutely has to show value to secure annual funding and get new tech. 2. Technology venue. A lab has to master cutting-edge data and storage tech. Criminals constantly adopt new methods to hide tracks. New gadgets emerge daily. Forensics has to stay ahead, constantly dismantling, investigating every new thing. It's an arms race.
Got to keep up with the bad guys' tech.
Got to keep up. 3. Scientific venue. This is where the rigor comes in. Forensics is a practice of science. A lab must adhere to reliable, repeatable, valid, objective, consistent, and accurate methodologies. Findings have to be based on empirical observation, deductive reasoning, so they can be presented as facts in court. 4. Artistic venue. This is where the human element really shines. The investigative process is more than just rigid procedures. It requires intuition, creativity. Examiners need technical prowess, sure, but also a flexible mind, an intuitive awareness of how the tools of technology and human nature, human thought processes, and human frailties interact.
Okay, so it's the blend of science and intuition, human understanding.
Exactly. Think of it this way. If a lab nails the scientific part with rigorous methods but neglects the artistic element of human intuition, they might miss the most clever human-crafted cyber attacks. It's the synthesis of these 4 that defines true excellence, not just ticking boxes. Next, a lab needs to define its core mission and services. What will it provide? What's its scope? This guide to everything: budget, furniture, staffing. A law enforcement agency focuses on criminal statutes. A commercial venture markets specific service packages.
Defining what you do and don't do.
Crucial. Revenue definition is another critical aspect, even for nonprofit labs. The adage applies. Anything is possible with enough money, manpower, and time. Need a 5-year strategic plan for growth, a realistic, generous budget justified with cost versus reward arguments. Labs are typically either cost centers or revenue generators. Law enforcement, government are often cost centers relying on budget grants. ROI is defined by efficiency, results. Corporate labs can be cost centers but might use bill-back systems internally. Commercial providers directly invoice, need a profit margin. Gotta justify the expense one way or another.
Always. A standard operating procedure, SOP, is paramount. Our source says the 10K SOP should be defined in planning. Robust policies and procedures are the true measure of operational excellence. They ensure valid, objective electronic evidence reaches court. They promote professionalism, ethical conduct, provide defensible processes against spoliation attacks, challenges to evidence integrity, workflow, product testing, process analysis, method execution all fall under the SOP.
The rule book for how everything gets done.
The comprehensive rule book. Quality standards are then assessed through accreditation. Independent certification is highly desired. ISO certification is one common route. More specific to forensics is ACLD Lab, the American Society of Crime Laboratory Directors Lab. They offer certification incorporating ISO and 19225, plus supplemental requirements specific to lab ops, covers leadership, policy, HR, physical design, evidence handling, everything.
So getting that stamp of approval from an independent body, very important. Beyond accreditation, a robust system of auditing is required for process rigor. Procedures tested for validity, tools tested for function, individual competency tested, workflow audited, inventory control, and chain of custody demonstrated 100% competent. This ensures continuous improvement and defensibility, and our sources clearly state that human talent is incredibly vital. A forensic examination environment is only as good as the talent associated with the initiative. Investing in experience gathering, knowledge sharing, continual education, HR development, essential for success. The best gear is useless without skilled people.
People over machines, ultimately.
Ultimately, yes, which leads directly to education and continuing education. Degrees exist, bachelor's and master's, and multiple certifications demonstrate knowledge and proficiency. Maintaining certs usually means retesting, accruing training hours. Common certs include CFCE for law enforcement, CCE, GCFA, and our focus, CHFI, for civilian and law enforcement, and software-specific certs like ACE for FTK and NANC for InCase.
Wow, okay. It's not just about the tech bits at all. It's running a full-fledged, ethical, continuously improving organization. That artistic venue aspect is particularly interesting, a reminder that human ingenuity is still key even in such a technical field. Really reinforces that an investigator is more than just a button pusher.
It's a holistic endeavor, absolutely. Designing a forensic lab. It's kind of like building a specialized fortress.
Yeah.
It needs to account for construction, operation, disaster recovery, future expansion, designing a functional, secure, resilient environment for irreplaceable digital evidence.
A fortress for data. Okay,
Yeah.
what does that look like physically?
When we talk space planning considerations, at least 4 functional areas are absolutely crucial. 1, administrative area, office space, meeting rooms, private areas for confidential calls, comfortable, functional, separate. 2, examination environment, lab proper. The core tech space, highly restricted access, log traffic. Needs plenty of surface area of 100 gigabyte per investigator is a good starting metric. Space for equipment. 3, evidence storage. Arguably the most critical physical area must be the most secure, rigorously controlled, physically segregated area. This evidence locker is the physical embodiment of the chain of custody. Needs robust construction, environmental resilience, highest access control, often just one custodian of evidence. Multiple entry challenges, dual authentication, robust info management with audits, critical space.
The inner sanctum, basically.
Pretty much. 4, network facilities, houses, data networks, security, telecom equipment. Crucially, any physical elements handling evidentiary data cabling, servers, switches, routers should be dedicated, standalone infrastructure. And any day-to-day business stuff, email, internet access, should run across a completely separate physical network architecture. Vital to prevent accidental contamination or compromise.
So it's not just physical security, but a whole system of operational and digital safeguards. That separation of the business LAN and examination LAN sounds absolutely critical to prevent accidental contamination or even attack paths.
Absolutely. That physical separation is a core tenet for security and integrity. Now let's dive into some highly specific environmental considerations for these facilities, starting with a big one, fire.
Right. Electronics and fire don't mix well.
Not at all. Fire is a major threat to any facility, especially one full of expensive electronics and irreplaceable digital evidence. A well-thought-out fire protection plan is non-negotiable. In a forensic lab, Class A fires, common combustibles, and most significantly Class E fires involving electricity are the primary concerns. When considering suppression system options, you got to look at cost, personnel safety, and the tech in the space. While basic water systems exist, most labs with sensitive electronics lean heavily towards clean agent gaseous suppression.
Like Halon used to be, but safer now.
Exactly. Halon replacements. These systems are more expensive, but they work by removing heat or depleting oxygen without leaving chemical residues. That means lower recovery costs and, crucially, no water damage to irreplaceable evidence. They do require sealed environments, though, and if using oxygen reducers, rapid evacuation capabilities.
Sure.
And it's critical. Pure CO2 should never be used in occupied spaces. Poses an active death risk due to rapid deoxygenation.
Okay, so gas suppression is preferred for the sensitive gear. What about power? Labs must be power hogs.
Huge power hogs. Any high-tech facility like a forensic lab has way above average power demands. Running, cooling, keeping everything stable. Generally, the cost per square foot for power in a forensic facility is higher than a regular corporate environment. Unlike a regular office, a lab needs data center grade power, not just for its own network, but critically for each investigator's workstation. One analyst could easily max out a 30-amp commercial circuit running multiple cloning processes, analysis tools all at once. It's a constant, high-draw, always-on environment.
So beefy circuits for everyone.
EV circuits. Generous provision anticipating future growth, redundant UPS, uninterruptible power supplies, generator contingency planning. The examination environment needs to be first to recover from an outage, last to degrade. Line quality is also crucial. Prevent under-over voltage that could damage evidence. Need higher-rated, dedicated circuits. And finally, electromagnetic interference, EMI. Big concern. Electrical conduits transformers might need shielding to prevent EM fields from messing with magnetically stored data.
Wow, even invisible magnetic fields are a concern. Lots to think about.
Lots. Beyond power, maintaining the right environment is critical. Computers generate enormous heat. Proper HVAC heating, ventilation, air conditioning is essential. You need conservative calculations, often planning for 2-3 times the overcooling capacity you think you need. Redundant HVAC units for the examination environment. Then there are specific abatements for these mission-critical systems. Temperature. Maintain a stable 68-70 degree AF data center standard. Avoid extreme lows that encourage electrostatic buildup. Humidity. Controlled tightly, ±1%. Vital for abating electrostatic discharge, ESD. Static electricity can kill sensitive electronics and evidence.
Zap. And your evidence is potentially damaged.
Exactly. So static electricity control goes beyond temp humidity. Anesthetic flooring, dissipative surfaces, grounded metal furniture, anesthetic mats, gloves, sprays. Got to manage static. EMI shielding. Careful planning of the electrical plant. Shielding power components, especially for the exam lab and evidence locker. Acoustic balancing. Designed for low-foot traffic. Use acoustically absorptive materials. Prevent distractions. Create a focused environment.
Temp, humidity, static, EMI, noise. It's like a high-tech clean room almost.
Very similar principles.
Yeah.
And security. We touched on it, but it's paramount. Every single level, multi-layered defense to protect irreplaceable evidence. For general security, you need campus, environment, object-level access protocols, meticulously implemented. Video and live surveillance strongly recommended. The whole facility needs minimum a 2-challenge system for entry. Every entrant provides at least 2 independent validators, biometric plus card swipe, for example, even higher access control for the examination environment and evidence storage areas. Each access attempt there needs dual authentication.
Dual authentication, like 2 different ways to prove who you are?
Exactly. Usually combines factors like something you are, biometrics, fingerprint, retinal scan, something you know, password PIN, and something you have, security card, digital token. Need 2 different types. Access points should be under constant independent monitoring, logging. Physical sign-out log can even supplement electronic systems. Adds another layer, handwriting analysis maybe.
Belts and suspenders for access control.
You got it. Now, evidence locker security. This is where the highest, most restrictive access controls apply. The fortress within the fortress. Means a good, locking, fire-rated safe in a locked room. Accurate access logs. Larger places often use a shelf and cage methodology with a single, key-locked, monitored entry portal. Access must be truly restricted to the custodian of evidence, often just one designated person. All access to the locker, all item-level access, chain of custody, documented completely. No exceptions. Dual challenge mandatory for entry. Video surveillance, highly recommended. Robust alarm system detecting not just door entry, but catastrophic entry through walls, ceilings, floors.
Wow, break-in detection from anywhere.
Got a plan for it.
Yeah.
The infrastructure itself needs to be hardened. Floor-to-ceiling walls, no plenum, no raised flooring to sneak over or under. Independent control for fire suppression, air provision. Air ducts too small for a person, weld-graded to stop objects passing through. No openings. Maximum physical security.
Seriously secure. It sounds like designing a bank vault almost.
Yeah. Very similar principles, huh? Beyond the high tech and security, even the physical comfort and workflow matter for effectiveness. The general ambience should be free of major distractions. Low foot traffic, physically separated. Well lit, promote personal comfort. Calm, focused environment is key for meticulous work. And spatial ergonomics. A forensic lab in some ways functions like a warehouse. Examiners handle bulky stuff, computer chassis, monitor servers, lots of lifting, bending. So safety gear like lumbar harnesses should be available. Traffic areas economized. Work surfaces designed for heavy vertical lifting concerns.
Thinking about the physical strain on the investigators too.
Absolutely. And here's that interesting note again on common office technology. Evidence handling facilities need to watch out for hidden data repositories. Common office tech like copiers, fax machines. Modern ones often have hard disks, store data in memory for ages. Maintenance plans need to consider privileged info might be resident. Security and audit methodology needed to guarantee proper handling and destruction of storage media contents. Protect confidential info. Easy to overlook.
Right. It's not just about the technical environment, but the human one too. And those details about copiers holding data, yeah, definitely unsettling and easy to miss. It's a reminder that security really is everywhere.
It is. It's pervasive. Building on that, each examiner needs their own effective space, a personal digital command center, if you will. For personal workspace design, each person needs significant operating space, Lots of work surfaces, especially digital, meaning big monitors, multiple monitors. Robust electricity supply. Think of the personal space as a mini laboratory, stocked with hardware, software for common tasks, dedicated investigation platform, full set of write blockers, separate system for business comms, workspace data management, reference library close by.
Their own little forensic bubble.
Kinda, yeah. Moving to common area considerations, it's smart to provide multiple units of everything. Multiple write blocker sets, multiple investigation machines, allows several parallel tasks simultaneously, prevents bottlenecks. Workspaces should have a template design, allow multiple people to do similar tasks concurrently. Crucially, enough shared resources to serve staff without causing workflow jams. Like if you need DVD burning, make sure the tower has job scheduling capability. Capitalize on the full 24-hour cycle, even if shifts change.
Plan for efficiency and parallel processing. Smart.
Now let's talk about the actual tools of the trade, the investigator's arsenal. Our source is clear. This isn't an endorsement of specific products, but an exposure to the wide selection available. First and foremost, write blockers, absolutely essential. Can't say it enough. The prime directive is prevention of data spoliation. Courts rigorously challenge work product based on spoliation concerns. One common attack is how digital evidence was handled. If an unprotected writable device is connected to a computer, it will incur change, period. A forensic lab needs a broad range of ways to ensure write block capability.
So this stops the computer from accidentally writing anything to the evidence drive.
Exactly. While software write blocks are possible, far more common and generally preferred are hardware write block devices, also known as forensic bridges. They're flexible, super useful, a core component of the toolkit. Portable, broad application, easy to use, easy to test, and crucially, it's much simpler to visually show how a hardware write blocker works to a non-technical jury than explaining, esoteric Linux OS recompiles. They come in multiple form factors for different hard disk interfaces: IDE, SATA, SCSI, USB, FireWire. For non-hard disk media, multi-format forensic card readers are crucial, and write block field kits are excellent additions. Lightweight, ruggedized, designed to acquire data in the field while maintaining integrity.
So hardware blockers are the go-to for ease of use and explaining in court.
Generally, yes. Speaking of acquisition, hardware duplication platforms are another essential category. Handheld and desktop systems available. Their core functions: write block the original evidence media, duplicate data to secondary media, and crucially, measure correctness and completeness using hash algorithms MD5 or SHA-1. They often have integrated reporting too, a major advantage. Significantly faster data transcription rates than software solutions, critical when dealing with terabytes of data.
So hardware write blockers are like that digital cone of silence around the evidence, ensuring nothing changes the original. And the duplication platforms are the high-speed, verifiable cloning machines. That's a powerful combination.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Cone of silence. I like it. They really are the workhorses for preserving and copying evidence. Now, when the investigation needs to go to the crime scene or scale up in the lab, specialized systems are required.
Taking the lab on the road, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Let's look at portable forensic systems. You've got high-mobility laptop-style systems, ruggedized feature-pack laptops or suitcase-style workstations, fast processors, lots of memory, high-volume storage. Optimized for specific forensic software, often have multiple operating systems. Then you have workstation-in-a-box, suitcase-style systems. Offer more flexibility, more slots for add-ons. Detachable monitors, keyboards, mice for interfacing directly with suspect systems.
So different levels of portability and power.
Right. For even more robust temporary labs at examination locations, there are portable enterprise systems, sometimes called network-in-a-box. These are often half-rack solutions. Include examination systems, integrated write blocks, robust multi-terabyte RAID storage, monitors, KVM switches, all in one ruggedized cage. High durability but lower mobility. Needs packing, crating.
A serious field deployment kit.
Definitely. Finally, laboratory forensic systems, desktop, for permanent lab installations. Generally more powerful than portable tech. Often pre-built systems providing the best computing power. When speccing them, always target fastest processing, largest memory, RAM, largest hard disk volume. Available terabytes are common now. Hardware ages fast. Considerable monitor real estate is also vital. Dual head video cards, large flat panels, needed for visualizing enormous amounts of data. And the ability to operate under multiple operating systems is greatly desired. Investigators need to analyze diverse systems: DOS, Windows, Linux, Mac. 4 or more bootable OS isn't uncommon.
So whether you need to run a small operation in a suitcase or build a dedicated command center, there's tailored hardware.
Yeah.
And that emphasis on multiple operating systems really highlights the diversity of digital environments an investigator has to tackle.
It truly shows the adaptive nature of the field. Now, beyond securing the original evidence, preventing spoliation also extends to the media used for duplicates and eventually the destruction of data.
Right, the drives you copy onto need to be clean too.
Exactly. Media sterilization is a critical process. A solid policy is needed. Any hard drive used for duplicates should be sterilized before use, documented as sterile, and validated post-sterilization. A forensic lab must demonstrate adherence to commonly accepted data destruction standards. And this is a field where standards have dramatically evolved. The most referenced document used to be DoD 5220.22-NIS PUBOM. Before June 2007, it defined specific multipass overwrite techniques as okay. However, after June 2007, an updated matrix explicitly disavowed data overwriting as valid for sanitizing classified materials. Big change. The new matrix instead endorsed degaussing using a strong magnetic field and physical total destruction, like incineration or chemical liberation of magnetic media to truly make data gone. This is crucial for current practices. Overwriting isn't enough for the highest standards anymore.
Wow, so just wiping isn't good enough for classified stuff anymore.
Right.
Gotta degauss or destroy physically. That's a big shift.
Huge shift. For data management, backup, retention, preservation, forensic ops need high-volume storage. Petabytes. A stringent policy with far more oversight, auditing, reporting than typical corporate ops is required due to the evidentiary nature of the data. Solutions include magnetic tape backup systems for long-term, tamper-resistant storage, though they have downsides like software versioning, media degradation. Also nearline storage, offline storage for long-term preservation, and CD-DVD hardware solutions. CDS-DVDs are inexpensive, readily available, and high-grade optical media can last decades. Good for unitized evidence storage.
Lots of options for storing massive amounts of sensitive data securely.
Gotta have them. Now, mobile phones, other portable devices, ubiquitous data repositories, contain a wealth of personal, potentially evidentiary info, needs its own specialized forensic approach.
Yeah, everyone carries a powerful computer in their pocket now.
Exactly. One of the most clever and essential tools here are Faraday devices. These are enclosures designed to block electromagnetic fields, waveforms. Their purpose: preserve data integrity, prevent data transmission, create that cone of silence by keeping signals in or out. Critical for isolating cell phones from cell towers or other devices. Prevents incoming signals from modifying or deleting data on the phone, a key step against spoliation. Faraday enclosures can even be portable tents or sealed boxes for field analysis.
So it stops the phone talking to the network while you examine it. Smart.
Very smart. When it comes to portable devices and data storage, data can be anywhere. SIM cards, other card media, chip-based storage, can be static like phone numbers on a SIM or volatile like recently dialed numbers in battery-powered memory. Power management is crucial. The rule of thumb: if off, leave it off, but keep battery charged. If on, do everything feasible to keep it powered on. Tools like remote chargers help extend data preservation. Documentation tools help rapidly video record power on-screen states, menu functions, stuff that's hard to recover otherwise.
Keep it alive if it's on. Keep it charged if it's off.
That's the essence. And you'll need readers. Many card types for phones are proprietary, need custom forensic software hardware. For common types, SD, MMC, CF, a good multi-in-one reader is valuable. And of course, cables, and adapters. A good kit needs tons of these to link to the multitude of data interface formats out there. A key resource here is NIST Special Publication 800-101, Guidelines on Cell Phone Forensics. Really good general principles guide.
The Faraday cage is such a clever solution for something that feels so sci-fi, and the sheer volume of cables and adapters needed. Wow. It highlights just how many different devices and interfaces an investigator might encounter. Truly a specialized world where adaptability is key.
It is indeed. Adaptability and having the right tools. Finally, the software. This is the engine that drives the investigation. And remember, no one tool is all-inclusive. Having multiple tools with overlapping functions but unique strengths is desired. For validation, for thoroughness.
Using multiple tools to confirm findings.
It's exactly cross-validation. When provisioning software, consider a few main areas. 1. Operating systems, OS. Need a library of OS versions: Windows, Linux Unix, Apple Mac OS. As production environments, allows using specific old software, creating test environments. Strategically examining a Windows NTFS disk from a Linux OS can defeat spoliation arguments because Linux doesn't create Windows artifacts. Clever trick. 2. File systems. Examiners need to work with many different file systems, needs access to multiple OS, hardware, software. 3. Investigative platforms, the main software suites, common characteristics, create image clones, analyze live image data, search call data, generate reports, export data. Examples, in case forensic toolkit, FTK. 4. Other specialty tools, many packages for specific needs, email analysis, password breaking, decryption, portable hardware analysis, steganography investigation, hiding data in image files. 5. Tools in the enterprise for investigations across LAN. These remotely investigate live systems, analyze volatile memory, local machine activities, and sit in place. 6. Ad hoc scripts and programs. Sometimes a custom solution is needed or requires coding scripting skills. But any ad hoc tool needs full validation and testing to guarantee integrity.
A whole toolbox of software, from big platforms to specialized tools.
A big toolbox. Now, 2 extremely important considerations for all software: software licensing and tool validation. First, licensing. An examiner's entire software environment, OS, applications must be license legal, always. Using unlicensed software is piracy. Illegal. Evidence gathered illegally may be inadmissible. It's a major cost factor and needs to be part of the SOP. Second, tool validation. Mandatory ongoing process. Hardware and software need rigorous testing, ensure they perform as expected, preserve data integrity, document the test methodology, results, theory, be ready to demonstrate, explain, prove in court that your tools and methods are sound. NIST has a whole website, www.cftt.nist.gov, dedicated to computer forensic tool testing, provides frameworks, test documents, critical resource.
So it's not enough to just have the tools, you have to continually prove they work correctly and legally. That makes perfect sense for ensuring defensible evidence, especially in a field where every single detail can be scrutinized.
Yes, exactly. Defensibility is everything. Okay. Wow. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, really peeled back the layers of Chapter 1, Computer Forensics in Today's World.
It's been an incredible deep dive, really clarified just how complex yet how absolutely vital this field is. If I were to try and summarize, what would be the absolute critical takeaways for our listener? What's that shortcut to being well-informed from all this?
Okay, good question. Here's what I really want you to walk away with. First, computer forensics is an evolution. It's the modern extension of historical forensic science. Applies rigorous methods to digital evidence, but it's still in a developmental stage, often needing more art alongside the science. Second, the goal is truth in court, the ultimate objective. Determine crime events, find perpetrators using digital evidence that stands up legally. Means it must be authentic and reliable. Always adhere to the chain of custody. Non-negotiable.
Authenticity, reliability, chain of custody. Got it.
Third, digital dependence. New crimes. Our reliance on computers opened the door to widespread cybercrime. Often hard to trace due to anonymity, lack of physical evidence. Investigators need to understand diverse motivations, thrill-seeking to corporate espionage. Fourth, structured investigation is key. First response to court presentation, a methodical approach is crucial. Identify, gather, recover, analyze, present. Specific rules around handling volatile data, creating bitstream images, MD5 hashes, vital for integrity.
A methodical process.
Fifth, the forensic lab is a multifaceted enterprise. It's a business, technology, scientific, even artistic venue. Strategic planning, robust SOPs, accreditation like SLD Lab, continuous auditing vital for excellence and defensibility. Sixth, physical infrastructure matters uniquely. Building a lab needs meticulous planning, specialized spaces, admin, exam, evidence, network, focus on clean agent, fire protection, data center grade power, ASPIR per workstation, precise HVAC and environmental abatements, EMI, static, multi-layered security, dual authentication minimum, hardened evidence lockers.
The physical fortress matters just as much as the digital tools.
Absolutely. Seventh, tools are diverse and essential. Hardware write blockers, duplication platforms prevent spoliation, portable forensic systems for field work, robust laboratory forensic systems with high power, multiple OS. Eighth, specialized needs exist. Media sterilization following current standards like post-2007 DoD favoring degaussing destruction over wiping. Sophisticated data management for terabytes, tools for portable device forensics, Faraday devices, tons of reader's cables. Ninth, software power and legal compliance. Broad array of software needed, platforms, specialty tools, enterprise solutions, but always with strict adherence to licensing and rigorous tool validation to ensure admissibility.
Tools are great, but gotta be legal and proven to work.
Exactly. And finally, maybe the most important resource, human talent. Investing in education, continuous learning, paramount.
The people running the show.
The people running the show. As we wrap up this deep dive into computer forensics in today's world, it's clear this isn't just a technical field, it's a dynamic intersection of technology, law, human ingenuity. The digital realm offers boundless opportunities, but also presents ever-evolving challenges for justice.
It really is a field that demands both precision and adaptability, and the thought that digital evidence can cross international borders requires such complex legal and technical coordination, often against really sophisticated adversaries. That's something to really mull over.
Absolutely. The landscape will keep shifting, no doubt. But the core principles, preserving, identifying, analyzing digital evidence with integrity, those will remain constant. I encourage you, our listener, to think about how rapidly technology changes. How does that impact every single aspect we discussed today? What new devices, new data sources are emerging right now that will challenge investigators tomorrow? How will the art of forensics adapt to even more cunning digital adversaries? That's something to ponder as we look ahead to our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.